Dear listeners, my name is Regina Sirendi and I am the lecturer for the course Service Orientation in the Public Sector. The main goal of this course is to provide students with an overall understanding and insight into service orientation and its use in the public sector. By the end of the course, you will be able to identify, name, analyze, map, and associate with the processes of organizations. The course is divided into a number of topics that are supported by additional reading and tasks. Please follow the course outline at the online learning environment for more relevant information. But now, let's go straight to the point. What is a service? Service can be defined as something complex and often subjective. It depends on who is currently trying to define it. It allows individual interpretation and perception. There is a difference if we are talking about an act of service, such as in the context of employment, or in the context of economics, for example, such as an overall concept of the services sector. Or if we are talking about a technological concept, where service is understood as a function within a system's environment. Service-oriented architecture, SOA in short, that we are going to be looking at later, belongs under the latter. Service is generally understood as a non-material equivalent of a good, an intangible commodity, and an act of doing something. In our context of public sector, it means a system supplying as public such as transport, communications, or utilities such as electricity or water. This distinguishes services from material goods. The service is delivered by using accountable service providers in cooperation with internal and external service suppliers. Providers and suppliers in this context are not synonymous. Instead, by service provider, the utility is taught, and by supplier, the reselling act is taught. The service is materialized by distinct activities of individuals and by distinct functions of technical systems. And why are services necessary? The basic essence of the service is to provide someone with something that is needed or wanted. But now, let's take a look at the essence of a service. During the 20th century, the industrial sector was reducing its relevance and the service sector was becoming more and more relevant. Several advantages such as lower capital requirements, great and rapid effects on economic growth, and the ease in relocating the business to other places facilitated the change. Technological innovations and advances, among other things, have aided the evolution of the services sector and enhanced its effects on economic activity. So this means that services are a powerful engine of economic growth in many economies. This has been aided by both the globalization of business and spreading capitalism, and of course by the technological revolution. New technological advances have forced the industry to change its behavior, boosting productivity, reducing costs, changing labor activity, facilitating the production of new and more sophisticated goods and services, and increasing personal consumption as well. That is greatly enforced by computers. Services can also be seen as a way of innovation, as services account for a growing percentage of GDP, gross domestic product, of advanced economies, and are creating new opportunities for innovative business models. IT industry plays an important role in this trend towards service economy and is itself being transformed into a service-based industry, with many organizations adopting SOA, as most services today involve some level of IT support and can be regarded as aggregations of business and IT services. The recent trends towards service orientation in business in general and in IT in particular has resulted in an extensive research effort to incorporate service-oriented concepts into existing frameworks and methodologies. There are a number of characteristics that we can bring out to describe services and compare them with goods. A service is not owned, but there is a restricted access to its use. Services have intangible results. Customers are involved in the service production process. Other persons than the customer can be involved in the process as well. Quality in service is sometimes difficult to control while increasing productivity, but also quality in service is difficult to apprehend. Service cannot be stored. Service delivery delay is crucial. And lastly, service delivery integrates the physical and electronic processes. Together, we can bring out the merged characteristics of services, which have merged into the so-called IHIP characteristics. It includes intangibility, which is the quality of being intangible and not perceptible in touch. It also includes heterogeneity, the quality of being diverse and not comparable in kind. It includes inseparability. This term is used in marketing to describe a key quality of services as distinct from goods. This is a characteristic that a service has, which renders it impossible to divorce the supply or production of the service from its consumption. And lastly, perishability, which means that it is inadequate or unsuitable by virtue of being subject to decay or destruction. But the question is, why is it important? Why have we spent so long time to examine different definitions and characteristics of services? These are important to treat services in a consistent manner. Service-based environments are complex, but they are becoming more widespread today, and by bringing together different service concepts, we can make modeling and integrating different services manageable. What is service orientation? Due to the rapid growth of service industries, it has been recognized that an emphasis on the constant improvement of service delivery to customers is paramount to maintaining competitive advantage. In relation to this, it has been argued that the interaction between employees and customers during the service encounter is positively influenced by internal processes and systems that are invisible to the customer. From this, the service orientation literature has emerged and divided into two main streams. The first one is the individual level that includes employees' commitment to the organization, good working relationships, altruism of the employees, their desire to help, and their concern with making a difference. The second level is the organization's level, which is the organization's accountability, its efficiency in delivering services, but also dealing with the fact of having scarcity of resources. On the one hand, it has been argued that internal services management practices and procedures are important for positive service delivery to customers, as they have an impact on how employees perceive the service orientation of the organization. On the other hand, there is the notion that the service encounter is dependent on the attitudes and behavior of customer-facing staff, a concept that has been defined as individual service orientation. Service orientation is the ability and desire to anticipate, recognize, and meet others' needs, sometimes even before these needs are articulated. Service orientation is also an architectural approach, which is based on implementing business processes as software services. These business services consist of a set of loosely coupled components designed to minimize dependencies, assembled to support a well-defined business task. Designing systems with modular business services results in more efficient and flexible IT systems. As you see, the concept on service orientation can apply to many aspects. I would like to bring out three main sides of the concept. Service orientation on the individual level, for example. How committed are employees? Do they have a feeling of mission? And do they want to make a difference? The second one is the organizational level, the one we are mostly talking about. This is the one where organizations develop their business processes to significantly influence organizational performance. And the last one is the technological level and service-oriented architecture. The concept itself addresses the issues of adaptability and flexibility. Service orientation is the ability and desire to anticipate, recognize, and meet others' needs. And in our case, this is the citizens' and other stakeholders' needs. Sometimes this even means that the needs have to be anticipated even before those needs are articulated. Service orientation is a way to use the modularity of key business services and to make sure that well-defined interfaces are designed. This, in turn, would help ensuring that these services work in many different situations. Move to service orientation is an evolving process. Service orientation is also a business approach and methodology. Using a service-oriented approach helps businesses adapt to change and make scalability possible. Service orientation lets companies and organizations leverage existing assets and create new business services that are consistent, controlled, and more easily changed and managed. As a result, a service-oriented approach leads to business goals consistent with the demands of cloud computing environments as well. However, service orientation is not only about technology and its adaptability and flexibility. As said before, it is also about communities, customers, shareholders, partners, and employees that are connected to the extended network of one organization. Service orientation is about processes that span and integrate all these communities. One very simplistic suggestion that can be derived from the notion of service orientation is as follows. The way in which service orientation can be developed is by firstly thinking of the customers, secondly focusing on improving the level of service one provides and identifying the cons and pain points, thirdly setting clear and measurable set of goals and benchmarking them against previous situation services, and fourthly revisiting the goals once changes have been made. So thank you for listening and stay tuned for the rest of the mini lectures.